Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today I have November's TBR video for you. So these are all the books that I want to read in November, and I definitely allow myself a lot of room to mood read. So some of these books are books that I just have to read that I've committed to for either book clubs or ARCs or things like that, buddy reads. And then others are just books that I really want to get to that are pretty high on my priority list. And one of the reasons I do these videos, even if I don't hit every book, like I don't know of a single booktuber or person in general who creates a TBR and sticks to it 100%. I certainly don't. I want to have room to mood read, but sometimes I find myself thinking like, what do I want to read next? And if I don't know, or that's not even the case, like I always know. Sometimes I'm just like overwhelmed with too many choices, then I go to my TBR list that I have. So let's go ahead and get into it. We'll start by talking about the book club books that I have for the month. So the first one that I want to talk about is my Patreon book club, which is there's a link down below for my Patreon. There are a couple of different tiers. The highest tier, the So Delicious tier, has a exclusive book club where we vote on a genre and then a book title, and then we read it for the month, and we have a live show, and then I also do an exclusive reading vlog with definitely the book for the month. And a lot of times I'll do, well, the last few times I've done like a runner-up book or a book that's in a similar genre, so that there are usually at least 2 books in that vlog, unless I have a ton of stuff to say about the first book. So it's a super fun experience to get to share with my patrons, and we have great discussions in the live show, and I love that they get to choose the book that we read. I suggest some things, but they also suggest things, and then they vote on it. So it's super fun. This is our book for November. The genre was Gothic fiction, and this one won for sure. So we're going to be reading One Dark Window, which is going to be a reread for me, but I believe I read this like 2 years ago when it first came out, and I don't remember much about it. So I'm excited to reread it because I don't really remember it at all. So that's the Patreon one. Another book club that I am hosting is one that is on Fable. This is a text-based app. This is a free book club, and this is all about historical romance. So I decided to start this because Fable book clubs are quite popular on TikTok, and I really want historical romance to gain in popularity so we can have more books being published. So I started this book club with that in mind, and previously we've done books that I have reread that I have already read and loved, so that's kind of like greatest hits. But this month I went with books that were kind of deep into my own TBR, so it was a little self-serving in that way, and I picked some books that I had maybe kind of forgotten about that I definitely wanted to get to. So the book that won for that is Beyond Scandal and Desire by Lorraine Heath, so I'm very excited about that. This is the first Lorraine Heath we've done for this book club, and if you want to read this with us and come and chat, the link to join that is down below as well. Okay, and then I also have more historical romance for the Rake Appreciation Society that I host with my good friend Jen from the Book Refuge. This is our fall session, so we just recently started doing this again. It was, we did a summer session with 2 books, and now we're going to do a fall session with 2 books. She and I both picked one, so our live show for this will be November 19th, so there's still plenty of time to read these books. And both of these books are on Kindle Unlimited, and the one of them comes with a free audio for Audible. So the book that I picked is A Class Apart by Susie Murphy. This is an author that is brand new to me. This says that it is a sweeping Irish historical romance, so I am so excited to read this and see what I think of it. And the other book that Jen picked is All Through the Night by Connie Brockway. This is the one that has the free audio available. I don't know if it's in Audible Plus. It must be, because I don't think it is in the Kindle Read and Listen. Anyway, the audio is available for free on Audible Plus, I believe. So very excited about those. And again, our live show will be on Jen's channel November 19th at 7 p.m. MST. Okay, now let's talk about some of the ARCs that I have to read. Now, some of these are December. I was overwhelmed with ARCs in October, and so I'm trying to do a better job of reading ahead, so I'm looking a few months ahead. So I'm gonna talk about these in the order that they released. So the first one is an adult fantasy romance, and I believe this is this author's first adult book, and it is The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson. All I really know about this one is that it deals with the Fae, and she kind of has to go and try and, I think, rescue her sister or something like that. Anyway, I'm very interested in this, especially because it's her first adult fantasy romance. I think that could be excellent. Crossing our fingers. That one comes out November 12th. The next book that I'm very interested in is Duchess Material by Emily Sullivan. This is a historical romance. This is an author that I've read once before, and I really enjoyed her book that I read. I read her debut a few years back, and I really, really loved it. So I'm excited about this one. It comes out November 19th. And then I have a fantasy romance that I have heard good things about from a TikTok friend, and the book is The Serpent and the Wolf by Rebecca Robinson, and I'm not sure, I think this one may be a debut as well. This one comes out November 19th, so I'm super excited about that one too. And the other two are historical romances, so I have No Ordinary Duchess by Elizabeth Hoyt. Very excited about that. It's been a long time since we've had a new Elizabeth Hoyt. This is her new series, and this is book 3 in that series. This comes out December 10th. And then the last one that I have on here is probably the one that I'm most excited about and may get to first, because that's usually what I do. It is A Tempest of Desire by Lorraine Heath, who again is one of my favorite historical romance authors. I'm very excited for that release. It comes out December 24th. Okay, so now let's just talk about the books that I just want to read. Now, some of these are books that I've already started because I have done that thing that I do where I just kind of dabble in a lot of books and I can't kind of settle on just one. So the one that is a high priority for me is Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. This is the second book in the Empire of the Vampire series. I absolutely loved book 1. I thought it was fantastic. This is a dark adult fantasy with a very unique take on vampires, and it's very character driven, but I would say it's also equally plot driven as well. It's just fascinating. I love his writing style. His prose is beautiful. His characters are so amazing, and I just am obsessed with this book. So I'm very excited to continue reading this. And then the next book that I absolutely have to get to is Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. So I for sure want to be caught up on this series by December 6th when Winded Truth comes out. And to do that, I need to read this book, and it is freaking huge. But that's okay because I've read all the books in the series. I really love this world. I really love the characters. I love the story. And I'm kind of terrified to see what happens to the characters at the end of the series. But I definitely want to continue this. This is a high priority as well. All of these books are such high priority. But this one for sure is happening. It's for sure happening. It has to. It has to. Okay, and then I want to read, this one is kind of like a maybe, one that I kind of want, I do want to get to this eventually. I'm not sure if this will be the month that I get to it, but I wanted to have some different genres on here to pick from. So this one is Empire of Silence by Christopher Rucchio. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but this is a book that I feel like has taken the book world by storm on all platforms. Like I've seen it on BookTube and TikTok and Bookstagram. This is a sci-fi. I can't remember if I was told if it was a sci-fi or a space opera. Anyway, I've heard rave reviews about this book, and I really want to know what I think about it. So that's a book that's been on my radar for a very long time, and it's just one that I kind of keep pushing back and picking up other things. So excited to try and get to that one this month. Another book that I have started and haven't gotten very far into, but I want to finish, is The Seer of Seven Waters. So this is the Seven Waters series by Juliette Marillier, who is one of my favorite authors. I really love the series, and I only have this book and the next one to finish this cycle. And I just really missed her prose and her writing and her storytelling. And I kind of found myself, maybe it's the time of year, because this is around the time of year when I first read her, which was Wolfsong, I think 2 years ago. No, not Wolfsong. Wolfskin. Wolfskin. Wolfsong is a different book that I also love by TJ Klune. And I just kind of found myself just longing for her storytelling again, so I definitely am going to finish this one. A goal I have that is kind of like a mini goal is to finish this series by the end of the year. Which I can totally do, right? Okay, and then another book that I have started that I am such a huge fan of this author. A huge fan of her. She's actually the reason that I discovered Sarah MacLean in the first place. She's hugely inspirational to my aspirations to be a writer. I love her storytelling. I love her prose. I love everything about this author. I was so hyped for this book. I know I haven't told you yet. I was so hyped for this book. I had it pre-ordered before, months before it even came out. And it arrived, and I didn't read it right away. I was a little nervous. I was kind of putting it off. And then I started to hear reviews, and then I kind of just got too scared and didn't read it. So one night I couldn't sleep, and I was looking for a book that I could kind of fall asleep to. And I picked this one up, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, because I knew I was very familiar with this author's writing, and it's kind of just been like nagging at me to pick this up finally. So I did, and I did start it, and I am absolutely in love with it. It's basically a it is a fantasy book, kind of fairy tale-esque, a little dark, haunting, of a girl who makes a deal with the devil to live forever, but nobody will remember her name. So it's fascinating, and I am in love with it already, and I can tell I am going to be obsessed with this. Like, and that kind of makes me sad that I didn't read it when it first came out, because I've loved this author so dearly, and this is such a popular book now. And I'm glad that it is. I'm happy for the author, but like, she means something to me that goes beyond just like a popular book, you know? So I sort of feel bad that I didn't read it when it first came out, and now everybody reads it and loves it, which is good. But also, like, I feel protective of this author and her work, and I just have weird, complicated feelings about this book, which is why I haven't started it, but I'm absolutely loving it so far. So okay, and then the next book that I want to read is A Heart Sufficient by Nicole Van. This is the last book in her historical romance series. I really, really loved books 1, 2, and 3, so I'm very excited to see where this goes. I've heard great things about it. It is based in Scotland. It's fabulous, beautiful, beautifully written, beautifully emotional, just an excellent, excellent series. And then I want to read Sunday Morning by Jewel E. Ann. I haven't read a Jewel E. Ann book in quite a while, but I am a fan of her books. I really like her romances. I really like her characters. I think she always adds something in there that just grips me and hooks me. So I've heard good things about this, and I know the second book is coming out soon, so I want to get to this one for sure. And then my last book that I have on this list is Fear the Flames, which is a fantasy romance that I have been wanting to read since it was indie. And because it was indie, I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't have it bought or saved or whatever, and now this is the trad published version, which I've heard is quite a bit different than the indie version, and I'm kind of sad about that because I love reading the indie version and then the trad pub version. So anyway, I'm very excited about this. I really, really, really am hankering for more fantasy romance this month. And this one, I just can't wait to read it. So I'm very curious to see where I land on this. I've heard good things, not so good things, mostly good things, and we'll see what I feel about it. So, all right, there you have it, my friends. Those are the books that I want to read in November. If you see any books on this list that you absolutely want me to prioritize, please let me know so I can review those for you. And I would love to know what book you are most excited to read for November. Let me know that down below as well. And if you have made it this far, please feel free to leave me a turkey, because it's November and that means American Thanksgiving. So thank you so much, my friends, for being here, and I'll see y'all in my next video.